Okay, so Sangye Chetan Soye Zonamla Choncho Bada Dani Gyakson Che Dage Zingi Gyakson Chola Benje Sangye Doba Sho Sangye Chetan Soye Zonamla Choncho Bada Dani Dage Zinzo Yebe Zonamye Chola Benje Sangye Doba Sho Sangye Chetan Soye Choncho Bada Dani Gyakson Che Dage Zingi Yebe Zonamye Chola Benje Sangye Doba. Yeah, so I think mainly like we discussed yesterday, the whole concept of developing the mind, coming into understanding the mind and developing the mind is with the altruistic goal to attain in the from the Buddhist concept, then it will be the goal to attain enlightenment, and that too not for one's own sake but for the benefit of all sentient beings. And when it comes to the benefit of all sentient beings, then I think mostly utilization of non-cessation bodhicitta and the view of emptiness to negate the two extremes, nihilism and eternalism, and through that then developing what we say developing the wisdom and the method which combines. Can you hear me okay? Yes, can you hear? You want to come? Like a little bit louder if you can. Okay, okay. My voice is getting smaller and smaller by the day. So, yeah, like like what I was saying is mainly the whole concept in developing the mind comes down to the concept of why to develop the mind in order to attain enlightenment from the Buddhist concept. That also aimed to in order to benefit all sentient beings, and that also together with the combination of the three principal aspect, which is renunciation, bodhicitta, and the view of emptiness, right? So developing wisdom and method to utilize wisdom and method in order to find the way to negate what we call samsara, or negate what we call the spear of suffering, right? So with that, I think yesterday most of the concept in regards to the mind and mental factor, in regards to how many they are, what they are, that one we pretty much went through. So now today I think we can contemplate in regards to utilization, right? Utilization, and what are the necessary means in utilizing that scope of that mind that we have talked about, right? So when we say awareness, when we say clear and aware, or clear and knowing, then one thing we have to be very precise about is the concept of clear in regards to awareness. So awareness becomes a key point of practice when it comes to developing the mind, because without awareness then the mind cannot develop. Without awareness then it goes into what we call uh, Chida, this means like it goes into uh, uh, like it gets lost sort of thing, right? So this, I think we can look at our general life and we can already start to see how our mind functions when we are not focused. When we are not focused on whether it be work, on exercise, on that, on this, whatever it may be, the moment you lose focus, what happens is things interrupt our mind. Once things interrupt our mind, then our mind becomes habituated in the interruption. So I think nowadays, modern days, one really good example would be scrolling, as they say, right? Thumb scrolling, as they call it. So this is the exact same thing. When you have entertainment on the side and you take that opportunity to develop that means of what we say of losing the mind and not being in focus, then from that point, then it becomes sort of like a habit. That's one concept of it. And then second concept that we talk about is knowing. Knowing is our ability to utilize the awareness. So it's not just the awareness that's helpful. The awareness is to calm the mind down, to bring the mind back to back to where it needs to be. Then the second part of awareness, when it comes utilization of awareness, how do we utilize awareness? We can utilize awareness in any way we want. This is coming back to the concept of freedom that I was talking about yesterday. in regards to karma, conditioning, how the mind works, there's so much freedom in that, and utilizing that is utilizing the awareness, right? So second part of it comes the utilization of the awareness. Now within development of the utilization of awareness, there's the saying, right? If you want to go into war, then you need your body armor, you need your lakcha is what, your guns and your knives and whatever you need in order to go and fight. Otherwise, if you go naked, then there's no point in going into the war. So similarly, when you are going into practice, then you need things that you can utilize during the practice while you are practicing. So within that then comes the teaching of the 10 paramitas. Yeah, yesterday we talked about it, I think. So within that utilization comes the utilization of the 10 paramitas, and the method to utilize the 10 paramitas, that is the teaching of the Four Noble Truths. Okay. So the utilization, the method to utilize the 10 paramitas comes down to the Four Noble Truths. Now when we look at the Four Noble Truths, I think one thing is very clear, that it's again coming down to, when it comes down to the teachings of the Buddha, it comes down to jeba. Jeba is to contemplate, to understand, what I don't know the exact word, but we say make sense. Yeah, we need to do sensible things. When we do things that are not sensible, unsensible, insensible, senseless, yeah, that's the word. If we do senseless things, then what's the point in it, right? We sort of like indulge in senseless things rather than participate in senseless things, right? So indulgement, that is the more indulgement part to understand. So I think one of the most important aspects of utilizing our mind is making sense of things. That's how we use our mind in a general way. Same thing applies to dharma as well. Yeah, same thing applies to practice as well. Same thing applies to understanding your own emotion as well. If your emotion is all over the place because of some senseless reason, then what's the point? A lot of people, I have dealt with a lot of people who harm themselves. Then I ask them about the benefit of harming themselves, then they cannot come with any benefit. Just the state that the mind is in, that makes sense at that time. But while you really contemplate on it, then, like I said, senseless, right? So utilization of using the concept of sense, what makes sense. So the Four Noble Truths, like I said, is one way to actually make sense of things. Just like cause and condition. Yeah, when we have science, when you learn science, you say, okay, if I drop something, then it falls because of, it gets pulled down to the ground, or it falls, so on, gravity and so on and so forth. Now you try to build this together, and then you tend to make some sense out of, okay, that makes sense. So similarly, when utilizing practice, when utilizing generosity, when utilizing patience, so you look at that and you start to think, does it make sense or not when I apply it? When I give myself the break, does it make sense or not? When I'm kind, does it make sense or not? And if it does, then why it makes sense? Cannot go down to the emotional part where I say, oh, because I feel great at that time while I'm doing. That is one part of it, but then true sense doesn't come from your own understanding of things. Like yesterday, we sort of went quite deep into the debate of ultimate reality and conventional reality and true reality. So because of these things, now making sense of things based on different realities also need to be applied. So the whole concept of all of this is growing your mind. The bigger the mind grows, the more you're able to able to embrace. The more you are able to embrace, the better you are able to cope. The better you are able to cope, the better you are able to utilize. So you have time, we say, no, as human beings, you get born onto the earth, yeah, then now you are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, then how many years we have of we have going forward, uncertain, uncertain of the years, how many years we still have left. It's important to utilize that. Important to utilize the time that we have. Then again, death. That is something that you're going to face no matter what. You can try your best to avoid it as long as you want, you can, but at some point, reality of death is there. So utilization of the time that we have right now has to be done from a very careful, wise, effective way. The less wise, the less careful, the less effective, the less senseless the utilization is. So that's where I think the main focus is in regards to utilization of the mind. So therefore, in Dharma, it starts with the mind. Everything starts with the mind, and from the mind, then the practice starts. From the, what we say, motivation, then the action starts. From the action, then comes the development starts. Without the action, the development also not there. So I think these more of the important aspects of it. Now if you go from level to level, I think at the beginning is always about stabilizing. Our mind already is so chaotic, like we were talking yesterday. We are carrying this huge bundle of baggage, family, financial, friends, expectation, that this boss expectation, company expectation. We're carrying a huge load on our back and walking around. So first thing we have to do is we have to learn, we have to manage to put those loads down, even for 10 minutes, even for 10 seconds. This is where I brought in the concept of joy. And without joy, even practice does not make sense. I think this is my perspective, and this is mentioned within the scriptures as well. But then I focus solely on that because I think through joy, when you start doing things, then time just flies. You don't realize how much effort you have to, you don't complain about how much effort you're putting, you don't complain about that. Some people like driving, they work as a driver and they love driving, so they're okay with the job. And this is embracing, no, in some concept. Not saying that you need to embrace whatever is in front of you. That one is very challenging, especially if in front of you there's someone who you don't like. Then embracing that is very challenging. And it becomes challenging because of the baggage. The whole reason why you are hating someone that you don't like is, there's someone in front of you that, the whole reason why the anger and the hate is there is because there's so much baggage in regards to that person or whatever it may be. So these concepts, these delusional concepts, there's views that I think we sort of like were able to identify yesterday in regards to how we view things, the way we want to view things and not the way that it is. So when you combine those things together, then definitely you're going to see everything all over the place. So the first step always, no matter whether it be practice, no matter whether it be practice in the Dharma, in the Dharmic way, or no matter if it just be feeling grounded, the first aspect is to put those weights down. And some people say, different people utilize different methods to put the weight down. Some people need therapy where they are able to release and talk and cry, and finally they feel relieved. But that is momentary relief. You go to a yoga place where there's good music, good smell. Then the instructor or the teacher or whatever it may be, very friendly, nice, kind guy. Then within that moment, yes, you are able to put it down, and that really helps. And like I said, putting down is not putting down completely. Even putting down for 5-10 seconds also helps a lot. But whether that is the ultimate method or not, that one is still discussed. Still, people come for retreat. Then while retreat and while the thing, then everything is calming down. The mind is settling. But then after that, you go back to your own place, you go to the busy city life, you come back to then everything comes back again. So I think that point we need to understand that, yes, it can help get release, but then if you do not learn to put it down completely, then what happens is the moment you pick it up, then everything feels heavy again. I think this is one of the reasons why what we say drug addiction and all of this have become such a huge problem nowadays. One of the reason is because while you are in that senseless what do we say tipsy sort of phase, then your mind does not have to carry, seems like it does not have to carry any of that. Then the moment that is gone, the moment is flushed out, then everything coming back. So now you're seeking for that again, because it releases you momentarily, it releases you. So then the seeking becomes more and more stronger, more. Yeah. So the exact same way. Of course, there is a chemical side to it where it affects the brain in a certain way, and the release of dopamine and so on and so forth. But that is one part of it. The second part definitely is not just that. It's definitely to do with the stress and to do with all the baggage that you are carrying. So that is one, I think, one important aspect of trying to understand why it's important to let go, and why dependence on something that is unstable is not wise in some ways, right? So that aspect is there. So within that, I think then comes different practices like Shamatha and Vipassana. And then I think these are very particular practices, but I think, like I said, each and every person, because like we discovered yesterday that each and every person has a different mind, with a different view, with a different background, with a different experience. So now you combine all of this together, you need to understand that each and every person has a different path as well. A path that is suitable for one person, not necessarily suitable for other person as well. That is very clear. And like I said, this is because the mind is so huge. There's so many patterns, there's so many experiences. You cannot depend on one, one particular means and methods to utilize. Yeah. So this is why you coming to discover yourself is also one. Yeah, yesterday we started through that, discovering yourself. So that method of discovering yourself becomes extremely important, in the sense that you are able to find a path or a method or a way that suits you, that suits your mind. I always say, for some people, compassion doesn't make sense. They don't want to participate in compassion. They don't want to think about others. They just want to get some calmness, some peace, some relax. They're able to concentration. That's all they care about. And then in that sense, then yes, that is a way to develop your path. And then there comes practice of shamatha, single pointed concentration, giving yourself the time and the space and the necessary environment in order to develop that concentration. But then for some people, going to this place and sitting down and concentrating on the mind, where they cannot focus, when the mind is all over the place, sometimes in experience sort of like seems like it's doing more messing up your mind even more. So in that case, then what makes sense to us? For some people, when you talk about compassion, when you talk about like in example, when you talk about the dog that we were talking about yesterday, in that case, then the development of genuine, sincere unconditionality, and like I said, in those moments, instances, you are able to let yourself go, and not let yourself go as in kicking yourself out of the door, like completely abandoning, not in that sense, but let yourself go as in the grasping of it, understanding your empowerment of utilizing your abilities, and truly embracing that utilization of that ability. And there's, like I said, great joy in that. So there you're also connecting, so clearly connecting with yourself, not in the sense that you are completely letting go of yourself, but you're connecting with yourself on a complete different level, on an emotional level, on a spiritual level, as well as on an understanding level. So that means also, you know, what do we say, important aspect of contemplation. But to start with, I think we need to start with truly searching inside our own mind. Yeah? Yeah? When you don't give yourself the ability to, when you don't embrace your own ability to look into your mind and see, okay, there's confusion here, there's stress here, there's anxiety here, there's depression here, and the depression is coming from this kind of experience. The depression is coming from the what I want, what I need in the future, what I can be. The depression is coming from what is in front of me, like I said, past, present, and future. So on that basis you start to contemplate, then utilizing the concept of impermanence, true reality on the basis of that. And then through that utilization of understanding the nature of it ever changing, what I can do is I can utilize that change in order to make the changes that benefit my own comfort level, my own ability. Sometimes when it comes to Buddhism, I think especially in harsh practices, then it's what do we say, empowered. A lot of teachers empower you to completely let go of the self, that the self is not important, the self is that, the self is this, the others are important, compassion important, developing compassion is important, so you need to renounce yourself, you need to renounce that, you need to there's, I think, a little bit of an extreme step when it comes to the first steps of truly practicing. Yeah, just like the story I told you of Buddha yesterday, exact same thing. So without you, the ability for you to attain liberation, impossible. Without you and your desire, or not desire, but your wish to liberate yourself from samsara, then the method to liberation, to help others, provide others the method to liberation, is not going to happen. So well, they are different levels, but definitely one of the first level is to see your own self, the potential of your own self. The mind is so amazing. You are so amazing in the way that you can provide so much. Then instead of utilizing all of these abilities that we have in regards to how much we can do, how much we can achieve, then instead of that, you criticizing, blaming, not enough, not this, always grasping, then, like I said, senseless utilization of the precious life that you have, senseless utilization of the amazing mind that you have as well. I don't know, that makes sense? So the important aspect, I think, at the beginning level is to embrace yourself for who you are, with what you are, and with what you can do, right? What happened in the past is past, that no one can change. Past, going back to the past and changing, this is sort of like what do we call yes, scientific fiction. Scientific fiction. Sort of like, yeah, science what?
What are you saying? Scientific fiction.
Scientific fiction.
Science fiction. Oh, science fiction. Science fiction.
Scientific fiction. That's a new word. Scientific fiction. so what, going back to the past and changing things there, and this is what we tend to do because our mind is very capable of sort of like daydreaming and making things up and utilizing. This is what we tend to do. So we, oh yeah, I wish I could go back. If I was able to change this, then this will change, then this will change, then my life here will be better, and then going forward will also be better, and so on and so forth. And then now you're putting a whole load of new baggages on your shoulder, and the baggage has nothing to do with what you can do, but everything to do with what you should have done. And that is not going to change. I mean, it definitely is going to change the future in the sense that you're going to hold on to that baggage stronger and tighter. And the more you go into that what is scientific fiction?
Fantasy.
Fantasy, yeah. The more you go into that fantasy aspect, the more the fantasy is going to take over your life, and the more the fantasy takes over your life, then the more your inability to produce or to calculate what you can do further, that ability goes down, and then comes depression. That's the start of depression in some sense. Depression in regards to the past. Then that contemplation is not going to stop, because their fantasy is not going to stop, because the fantasy is nice. why the fantasy is nice? Yeah. Oh yeah, then this will happen, then I will have a good car, then good house, then good wife, then good husband. That is good. Yeah, in the regards to what we are seeing is all the good things. But then the moment you open your eyes and none of those are there, then again that's where the state of depression is. And the state of depression is not in the fantasy, it's when you wake up from the fantasy. That's where the state of depression starts. And you have to wake up, right? You have to wake up. So that is one what we say, one case of how the mind can start to what we say go into that space of what we say fantasy. And that is definitely because utilization of fantasy in regards to something senseless. And you start to look at the reason behind it. You can't change it. You can't change the past, but you can change the effects of the past. That one you can definitely change, especially regarding now, right? I shouted at someone, I scolded someone, I beat someone up. Then if there's regret, then instead of sitting there and thinking, oh, I should not have scolded, I should not have hit, I should not have beaten him, and then getting depressed, now what does he think about me, now society hates me, now this, now that. So instead of contemplating in regards to these fantasies and all of that, the action is now. You take a step and you say, I was wrong what I did, I'm sorry, and ask for forgiveness. These are actions that you can take right now, and that's definitely going to change your relationship moving forward. No? So these are there in regards to how you can develop from now, utilize the sensible means from now onwards to change the future, structure the future. And this is possible because of cause and condition. This is possible because of impermanence. We are so stuck in the permanent mind that now your ego starts to play, then you feel ashamed to go, you feel that's the graspingness, right? What is there so ashaming to go and say sorry? What is there so what we say so cute? Yeah, what is there so that unless if you don't attach the grasping attitude there, you see that the flow becomes easier to ask for forgiveness, the flow becomes easier to actually forgive. And when you have the ego, the grasping to the eye here, then harder to go and approach, then harder to do anything. And this is just one example. You can put this anywhere in regards to destruction, in regards to forgiveness. When it's genuine, sincere, unconditional, I always say it, the only thing it takes is time. Time and effort. Healing definitely happens as long as you're willing to give time and effort. The problem is we are not willing to give time. The other thing is we are not willing to put effort in it. The reason why we are not willing to put effort in it is because the view of permanence. Oh, I did something so bad, he will never forgive me. Now he will hate me for the rest of his life. That's the view of permanence coming, playing very strongly in the mind. How do you know that he will never forgive you? Because of the impermanent view. I mean, the view of permanence. This is the construct that we have building in our mind constantly. Then the second one is time. Time is because of expectation. No patience and high expectations. So therefore, we are not willing to give time. So if you don't give time and you don't give effort, then the healing tends to stop. And when the healing tends to stop, then the wound gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. That's the general way. This is the same thing with physical wound as well. You look at a physical wound, exact same thing. You're willing to give effort and time, it starts to heal. The moment you stop giving time and effort into healing the wound, then the wound gets more and more septic, then gets worse and worse and bigger, more pus and more that and more this, and so you start to see it's the same thing with the mind as well. There's no difference. The only difference is one is on the form side, what we say on the visual side, whereas one is on the formless side. It's in the experience side. So this is again, you start to see one good reason why the core of all of this does come from the grasping attitude. So the grasping attitude itself already becoming what we say an obstacle to your healing. Already starting to become an obstacle to forgiving. Already starting to become an obstacle, not just forgiving others, oneself also. We again this same exact same fantasy starts to play in the mind when we need to forgive ourselves. If I forgive, then I'll keep doing the same thing. Then if I keep doing the same thing, then I'll get worse and worse and worse and worse. That happens. This is how contemplation happens, within our mind. Because rigid, strong, harsh, independent. This is what we want. This is what is labeled by society as someone strong. As I have this question a lot, doesn't it seem like you're weak when you forgive? Yeah, you ever wonder that? Yeah, because when you need to forgive someone, then it seems like you are giving up, you're weak. There is that, I've had that question a lot. So the contemplation in regards to that, understanding the true nature of it, it's not weakness, it's actually strength. It takes more strength to forgive than to hold on to a grudge. So these aspects of developing definitely, and especially in regards, if we cannot apply this to ourselves, it becomes very hard to apply externally. Where the more open your mind is, the more wider expansion, the wider your mind is, the more you are able to embrace. Then external embracing becomes easier as well. People, acceptance of people. If the mind is so set on a certain way that you need to live in a certain manner and a certain tradition and a certain culture, if your mind is so stuck on that, then you already start to see acceptance of external structure and culture and traditions becomes very hard. So when you see someone doing something what do we say, something different from what you are doing, then start questioning, start labeling, start that, start this, because your mind is so set within yourself as well. There is a structure, you set up a structure already. So the structure in this is, I think, dependence on the external structure that we set up. That one has to be in some way not so tight, has to be a little bit loose. The looser you are, then the better your acceptance to that also starts to happen. So these are, I think, first steps of the internal utilization of understanding the mind and utilizing the mind in regards to practice, right? Now comes the second step, Second step is now, I think, expansion. If you learn to apply it to yourself and you see something sensible, then the expansion becomes very easy to apply. When you don't utilize it and when you don't contemplate on it and it doesn't make sense, then the utilization also doesn't make sense as well. You go to a course, you do a 10-day 1-month course, and during the course, everything makes sense and everything is so okay, applicable, oh yes, but then no application. What happens? You go into the same pattern, you start losing the same even though it makes sense, then because lack of application, now the utilization is not going to be there as well. Make sense? So through that then comes the practice of the shamatha practice, or we call calm abiding. Calm abiding focuses on, I think, on what we say, bringing back the concentration over and over and over and over and over again and again and again. So there's 9 levels of the practice. Then within all 9 levels, it's about bringing back the mind. So if you're concentrating on a single pointed concentration, like an object or something like that, normally they either concentrate on breath or they concentrate on some kind of form of light, something that is, then your focus on that aspect, and then utilizing, seeing. The first step is seeing how your focus on the mind is focusing. What we call utilization of being aware of awareness. So being aware of the awareness you already have. So single pointed concentration is awareness, then you being aware of your own single pointed concentration. Now looking at the mind when it is losing that concentration. Then slowly, then it's about bringing back the concentration. Then it's about stabilizing the concentration. This is the same thing in regards to habituality. If you want to make a habit or something, what do? Like if you go to exercise, a lot of people who go to exercise know this. Or if you're doing prostration or something, you start to know that habitualization becomes a big part of the practice itself. If you go to the gym, first few days, if you do first few days and it's because it starts to hurt, and then you start to say, oh, then you stop. But then as you keep going, after a week or 2, then the pain starts to disappear. It becomes easier. Even prostration is the same thing. First day you do 20, your back hurts, your knee hurts, and next day you slowly you develop a habituation. Then the prostration, after that, there are people who do like 1,000 prostrations a day. Even though it takes effort, it doesn't take great effort. It becomes easier. And the same thing with the mind as well. First it takes great effort, then it takes effort, then slowly it stabilizes, then from there it becomes effortless. And this is where the effortless, what we say, effortless, they put the effortless action comes into play. Some people, they're kind just in nature, they are kind. Some people, they are forgiving, just in nature they are forgiving. Easily forgiving here, easily forgiving there. And some people, they're kind in nature, they're kind, the way they talk, the way the mannerism, and everything tells that, the way they're thinking, to the way they express, to the way they behave, everything, in everything you can start to see the kindness in it. So this is through practice, I think, utilization of the practice. And this, like I said, starts with shamatha. Vipassana takes one step further than that. Vipassana, the concept of what we say, lakpa is seeing more, seeing beyond, or what do you call? Lakpa is like more, tongwa is to see. So seeing more or seeing beyond. In that aspect, it's to do a lot with once you have developed. So I think generally in the Shila Sungde, in the practice of the, what we say, combination of Vipassana and Shamatha and Vipassana, calm abiding and special insight. So the combination only comes through the integration of what we say the view of emptiness, the method, wisdom and the method, which is the view of emptiness and compassion. So without you developing shine, calm abiding, in order to utilize the shine, the achievement of that single pointed concentration, in order to contemplate on the three principal aspects, without that, then going to Hakdong, or what we call vipassana, in order to see beyond, is hard, not easy. Because now every emotional, every worldly experience, what we call the worldly attachments, all of those are still there. How are you going to, and then you're forcing yourself to look beyond all of that. It becomes very hard. This is, I think yesterday, who was it? Someone was asking in regards to, I think maybe you, in regards to practicing and now the mind getting more anxiety, more. So that can happen because of this reason, especially in vipassana. Because vipassana focuses on hardcore practice. Hardcore practice in not stabilizing the mind, but utilizing the hardcore practice in order for the mind to see beyond the nature of the grasping. So if you don't see a good reason to let go of the nature of grasping, and you go to practice the beyond the graspingness, that can be a little bit challenging. Does that make sense? Huh? So this is why utilization of wisdom and method in between shine and lakdong, in between calm abiding and vipassana, becomes extremely important. This is the from the Buddhist perspective. Of course, from other aspect perspective, then you do the what we say shine, the calm abiding, is utilized in other practices, such as achieving mundane abilities. Now in regards to that, then it's another practice. There's another method, there's another way. That one I'm not so clear about. But within the Buddhist perspective, in order to utilize the full potential of lakdong, especially inside, then you have to generate at least a contemplative sense of understanding in regards to the wisdom and method, in regards to the unification of the wisdom and method, which is the unification of compassion and the view of emptiness. So that, I think, now becomes the second part of it. Then the third level of practice after that then comes truly utilization of that practice, which is now comes into the concept of selflessness. Then comes into the concept of non-duality, non-duality. Then comes the concept of application of the non-duality and selfless in order to integrate the method of what we call the bodhisattva method. So that is the third level of practice. So generalizing and where you are, how you want to practice, this one, no one can come to you and tell you, now you should do this, now you should do that. It's you yourself who has the capability, and only you yourself who should have the capability to do that. Yes?
So I had a teacher kind of tell us in the course that he feels like there's a certain level of so a teacher once shared with me that there's, like, in his experience or opinion, that there's a certain level of stability of your mind that you should already have in order to kind of like reap the benefits of the Buddhism path, and to start with like shamatha and vipassana. So I think someone had brought up a question about like if someone has like really complex childhood trauma or something, and they're working with a mind that is very, that has some extra baggage, let's say, that just starting off on this path of Buddhism with shamatha and vipassana, it can't actually access or get to the root of a mind that carries that much complex baggage and trauma. What is your opinion on that? Like, because I think the suggestion was, oh, you need to like start with something more like psychology or a therapist. And yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that, but I also
So
I don't know.
there's one beautiful teaching by the Buddha where Shariputra asked Buddha, Buddha, if I come across, if I'm going around like traveling, and I come across a village where people do not know how to eat, cook and eat, then do I teach them Buddhism or do I teach them how to eat? And definitely, Buddha said, definitely you need to teach them how to eat first, how to cook. So there's always that. A practice of Buddhism is in order to reach enlightenment. But in order to reach enlightenment and practice, then you need to look after yourself. That is definitely there. But then that does not mean the methods that are taught are useless in the way of what we say in the way of the what we say of the beginner, or what we say at the beginning. And it is not to say that it's useless. This is why after Buddha attained enlightenment, he at the beginning he came to a point where he said, okay, no one's going to understand what I just what do we say? Realize. No one's going to understand what I just realized. And if I start putting this out, then people are going to think I'm crazy, and then it's kind of useless to actually preach this method, preach this. Then after thinking for a while, then came the first teaching of the Buddha, which was in regards to the Four Noble Truths. And that one very simple in the sense that it makes sense and it is applicable. The Four Noble Truths is not applicable just in Buddhism practice, but also applicable in your what it is, physics, applicable in your business. Dungal Shepa is a problem. It's about problem solving. If you have a problem, Dungal, suffering is a problem in Dharma. So Dungal, you put the problem there, Dungal Demba. First is the problem, the truth of the problem, Dungal Demba. Then Dungal, then Kunjung. What is it, Kunjung? Dungal Demba, truth of suffering, then cessation. Then if there is a problem, then you need to find a solution. Without a cessation, without a means to what do you say, Yukunjung, the cause, you need to find the cause, not cause. Yukunjung we say, right? So if there's a problem, then there's definitely a cause to the problem, because the problem is impermanent. Without the problem being impermanent, there cannot be a cause. I mean, it cannot be a problem. So therefore, it has to have a cause. So you go and look for the cause. Where did this problem come from? Where did the suffering come from? This is what Yukunjung talks about, the second truth. Then once you find the cause, the three poisons, root ignorance. This is where Buddha is pointing out the causes are for suffering, for samsara. So same thing, if you have physical problem, then you say, oh, my tummy hurting. Then you go, okay, what happened? Well, that's what the doctors do, right? They take your blood out, they see, they search, they look, they scan, they do all of this, and then say, that's where the problem is. That's why it's hurting. Once you find that, then you can find a solution. Just because of hurting, you take painkiller, doesn't mean that you can solve the problem. This is momentary solutions. So there are momentary solutions you can utilize, but that's not going to help the problem. Most likely, it can solve the problem for a short moment. Then after the painkiller is gone, then the problem comes back. So momentary solution is not the way. So you need to find ultimate problem, the source of the problem. So this is why three poisons and the root ignorance. You study the 12 dependent links, or the links of dependent origination, then it comes down to the root ignorance. So Buddha pointed out in regards to suffering, then cause. Root ignorance. Yeah, and then there's a whole lineage of how that is the cause, of course, like similar to the doctor saying, okay, now this, this have affected here, and then this blood came here, and then this is how the thing spread, and this is why you have the pain right now, right? So something like that. So now, once you form second truth, then then comes the third one. What is it? Cessation. There you go. Now comes the cessation. Is if you find the root cause, then you can find a means to end from the root. Yeah. If you cannot find the root cause, then you cannot end it from the root. So now, once you find that, then you look for a solution to integrate with the problem at the root. So now the doctor finds the problem, finds the problem, the pain, then finds the cause. Okay, this small intestine here. Then now, okay, this, because there is a root cause, let's do something about. What can I do? You can do operation, you can eat medicine and kill the germs, you can go on antibacterial, or so yeah, all these different solutions, right? So exact same method, all the different solutions to all the different, all the different solutions to how to deal with the root cause. So same thing now, renunciation, bodhicitta, view of emptiness, all of this, the practice, the path, all of this comes in regards to solution. Now these are all the different solutions. Root ignorance and the three poisons. These are the solutions to deal with that. Then comes the practice. Okay, now I say, okay, now I found the cessation. Now how do I do that? Then the path. Okay, now we're going to put you on, what is the anesthesia, and then lay you down for 2 hours. We're going to work with it. That is the path. So same thing with inner development. Okay, now you found out, okay, renunciation, bodhicitta, and view of emptiness, and these are the solutions. These are the means to working with the problem. Now we need to utilize. So now you go into practice. This is where the path comes into play. Yeah, the path of the bodhisattva, path of this, path of that. So because that is, like I said, that is so logical, and this is, like I said, it's not a Buddhist sort of thing. The Buddhist, of course, in the concept of Buddhist, it comes down to the to samsara, samsara being the problem. But in general, every single thing you are dealing with in your life, you do the exact same thing. Applicable anywhere. Hunger is the same thing, right? You have hunger, it's a problem. Then you point down to the stomach, it has to be filled. Now you understand that it needs to be filled. So then you need to make food. Same Four Noble Truths apply, application here. Same thing with business as well. How do people get rich? How do the empires get bigger in the business? They find a problem. First they find the problem, and then they try to solve the problem, and then they find a way that is usable and universal way. The more the universal the method to solve the problem, the bigger the empire gets. So exact same method applied everywhere. So there are very practical ways or practices that are there that can be applied in any stage. It doesn't matter. But then when it comes to certain, what do we say, particular practices, then definitely, like for example, I always say, in order to, like, let's say tantric path, they call it the tantric path, right? So tantric path, my teacher always says, if you want to enter the tantric path and you want to practice in the tantric path, you need renunciation, bodhicitta, and view of emptiness before you enter. If you go into the tantric path without all of that, then there's a lot of problems that can arise, internally, externally, in regards to your, what do we say, your greed, in regards to your grasping attitude. All of this start to arise. And so then the solution, instead of becoming a solution, it becomes a cause to the problem. So that is definitely there. And then also same thing with the concept of bodhicitta as well. You look at our mind, when you talk about the bodhicitta mindset, it talks about all mother sentient beings, not what disincluding, non-including, excluding, and not excluding one sentient being. And here we are barely able to think about 2-3 people in our circle. Yeah, at the best we think about people. The animals are out. Some people, they think of more about the animals and they kick the people out of their circle. Then also animal, it comes very certain animals. A puppy, a dog, cute, fluffy, innocent, okay. But a mosquito, there goes whole night. Then no. So there's this discrimination, there's this differences. Our mind is full of that. So how are you going to utilize the concept of all mother sentient beings? Liberating that too out of kindness, out of gratitude and kindness, because they have been your mother in the past. This is where the concept of mother sentient beings comes. No, we have had countless lifetimes. Therefore, each and every person or each and every being most likely has been your mother in the past. We have met each other. We have gone through the whole, So the repaying the kindness, you think about the concept of repaying the kindness. This is where the bodhicitta is developed. So it's about paying your kindness back. Yeah. Then, like I said, with the mindset that we have, where there's so much discrimination, where there's liking, disliking, there's discrimination in color, there's discrimination from where you are, what you speak, what you eat, then discrimination in all the different things you do. And this only in the human realm. Then you go into the animal, then again discrimination everywhere. Spiders, oh bad, snakes, oh bad, poison, that, oh bad. Then you see fluffy cute one, cute parrot, oh good. This happens everywhere. No, so with that kind of mindset, where it has no limitations, or where it is very particular about where it wants to express what do we say, kindness, repaying kindness, and where it wants to express compassion. Now with that kind of mindset, going into the bodhicitta path is a little bit hard. It's not easy. It's hard. This is why even when going on to the path of the bodhisattva, there's many levels. Just the 6 causes and the condition, already here you have to do a lot of contemplation. There's a lot of convincing, a lot of internalizing to do here. Because without the convincing and internalizing and sense, like I said, without seeing the sense, then why would you do it? This is the first question we have when we say all mother sentient beings. We say, how? But my enemy, how is he? Why? What is the logic behind why I should be compassionate and forgiving to my enemy? He did this and he did that and she did this and she did. We have a whole list of things that we can put down onto the table, saying why I shouldn't develop compassion towards that person. No. So this, and it's good that you are able to bring that list, because now you are able to work with them. You can work with the list. You can work with the list. You can work with the, and like we said, yeah, dungal demba, truth, then the cause. Yeah, so this enemy, the hatred, comes from here. Okay, where is the root of that? So there is that method as well. No? So like I said, when it comes to applying certain things, then yes, definitely there is, where you want to sit? There's certainly different levels of means and methods of applying, and there are certainly certain aspects of practice you need a certain type of mindset in order to go into that practice. But that does not mean there's no that you need to completely wait to practice Buddhism when you are in this stage. There are also methods taught in the Buddhism where you are dealing on that stage as well. Make sense?
Yes. And I mean, I think the part that doesn't make sense to me is like the shamatha is supposed to be a practice to help you to stabilize your mind. So
shamatha
everything that you said like made sense. And like, yeah.
Shamatha is not to stabilize your mind.
It's not?
No. People.
Okay, well, it's calm to make your mind calm and to
Shamatha,
stabilize your
yes,
mind.
shamatha.
Yeah.
I got mixed. Shamatha is.
Sorry, I don't know how to use this. So then it doesn't make sense to me when somebody shares like, oh, you already have to have a stable mind to start this path or to start these practices, otherwise you might get really messed up. Like, that's what I've been told.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, well, because,
so when it comes,
like, how stable does your mind have to be in order to start practicing the stabilization. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like,
Yeah, so if I give you, I think I can give you a good example,
Yeah.
right? Shamatha is like walking up the mountain.
uh-huh.
Yeah. The bigger the bag you have, the harder it's going to get walking up the mountain.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Shamatha is like walking up the mountain, enjoying walking up the mountain. That's shamatha. Just an example, okay, I'm giving you. So if you have a 7 kilo bag, most likely it will be not too hard. You'll enjoy the walk, you will really like the scenery, you will enjoy the where you're going. There's achievement there, and the likeliness that you actually enjoy the path, and you likeliness that you are developing your concentration there is there. Now if you're climbing up the mountain with, let's say, 30 kilos, it's the same mountain, it's the same practice, it's the same walking, but for you it's going to be harder, no? Definitely it's going to be harder because now you have 30 kilos to carry. It's the same path, right? It's the same path, and the aim is to reach the top of the mountain. Yeah, the top of the mountain is where you go. You're one with your mind. So the mind, when it's given the opportunity to practice, yeah, when you have a clean slate to practice on, then you can practice better. When you have what is a paper that is already written up everywhere, then to practice something becomes harder. So it's not about, your problem is not about stabilizing the mind. Your problem is about putting down the weight. Yeah? Getting rid of the extra 16 kilos. that is where the problem is at the moment. Is the problem is there. The problem is not on whether the mind is stable or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So then, in practicing shamatha, can you also, how do you take off the weight?
So this, yeah,
Can I give it to you?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying.
Can I just leave it on the trail?
I mean, there's many methods. Like if you can leave the weight on the trail, then definitely you have to leave the weight at the trail, on the trail, I mean. But it would be better if you could leave it before even arriving at the trail, because then you don't have to worry about, will they still, when I come back down, will they still have my things? Will my things get lost? This now, look, do you think you're going to actually enjoy this going up? Let's say you have a 10 kilo camera bag, right? 10 kilo camera bag that costs maybe what, $7,000, $8,000, yeah, something like that. So now you say, okay, I'm already on the trail. I'm going to leave it with this, I don't know, this place or this place here or whatever.
So there's not really like a meditation practice in Buddhism that you know of that helps you to actually clear the baggage, because, for example,
Clearing baggage we've been talking about yesterday.
Yeah.
Look inside yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, looking at your own mind like your own child, this is, I think, a beautiful way to clear the baggages. Most baggages is coming because there's so much criticism, there's so much discomfort inside in regards to who you are, what you did, how you should be, how that. These are where the baggages are. You look at all of your problems inside, okay, internal problems. You look, like I said yesterday, it's either the future, something to do with the future in regards to where you are going to go, or how people expect you to go, or something like that, something there. Or it's either in the past where you have done something, or something has done to you, or something like that. Or it's either in the present where you are, completely engrossed with not being able to, what do we say, to accept what is for what is. That's where the baggages normally are. People at the present, a lot of people, they cannot accept who they are because of external labeling and external judgment and external, expectation and so on and so forth. So they're changing the way nowadays, plastic surgery, they're changing the way they look, they're changing the way they behave, they're changing the way they need to dress, they're changing everything in the present, so that so these are the three things where the baggages come from. All baggages either has to be in these three categories.
But a lot of it is from like our past life karma, right? It's like our karma baggage and our samsaras, and, right?
Karma baggage, we don't call karma baggage. There's definitely imprints, karma imprints, but that is not what we say solid, like what do you call it? Definitive.
Okay.
Definitive, yeah. There's something we have in our mind when we say karma is like, oh, now I need to carry it because it's my karma.
So you think our baggage is mostly what we accumulated in this lifetime based on how we are our conditioning, the way we're brought up, how we think about ourselves,
Definitely.
and how we relate to ourselves and others.
Definitely. Karma, I mean, karma can play a big role in regards to, I think, regards to where you are born, in what conditions you are born, and things like that. Definitely, it plays a huge role there. But once you have this body, once you have this mind, then this mind is not conditioned, of course, it has imprints of the karma, but then the conditioning is totally in your hand, no? There's not someone who's, putting anger in there or putting hatred in there or anything like that. This is changeable. This is why it's impermanent.
Okay.
If you say it's karma and you say, oh, but I need to carry the bag because it's my karma, then you will be carrying the bag till you die. You say it's my karma, right? This is, I think, in regards to acceptance, right? If you accept, oh, I was born poor, I cannot do anything about it, this is how I was born, my family is poor, then I just live a poor life, then you're not going to change anything. This is full acceptance. Changing karma does not come from acceptance of how karma is put down. Changing karma comes by acceptance of your empowerment that, okay, even though that is there, even though I was born poor, even though I was born in this situation, does not mean I can't change my future, does not mean I can't change right now, does not mean I can't take the steps in order to change right now. This is why there's within the concept of karma, there's, of course, in regards to habituation, some people are habituated easier, some people are habituated harder, and this does reflect karma, right? Like, let's say you and me, we both study math, right? Now, if your imprints are far greater than mine, then most likely that you will get math very fast, whereas I'll be struggling still there. But does that mean, oh, it's my karma, I should not study math at all? Now there, if you accept it in this way, then definitely I'm not going to understand math at all. But just because it's hard for me because of my imprint does not mean that I cannot change, that I can know more in the future. No. That's where the empowerment is. That's why I said yesterday, when you look at your mind, you actually see that the mind is capable of so much more than you actually think, because that concept of permanence is sort of like, again, imprint, right? The imprint of practice for many lifetimes in regards to the view of permanence is very strongly engraved, that we always look at it like that. But do we have to? So one thing you need to understand is, you need to understand there is choice everywhere, no matter what. Even if there's a gun on your head, you think, oh, I don't have a choice. You still have a choice. No, that's reality. You still have a choice. It may be a hard one. Yeah, it may be a conditioned one, but you still have a choice. And we think that because of my situation, because of what happened, because of where I am right now and what I cannot do for the future, that now you start to think, no, I don't have a choice. This is the same excuse as karma. Oh, but it's in my karma. What? So these excuses you completely need to let go. Karma is not there to imprint these kind of what we say, this concept of what we say, vigority, right? We call it like hard, what rigid. We say, rigid, yeah, rigid, unchangeable aspects. Karma is not there to introduce that. Karma is there to give you empowerment that you can actually change it. People look at two different ways. They look at karma and they think, oh, past karma, so now I cannot change. Like this, I have to accept what it is. That's one way people look at karma, which is the wrong way of looking at karma. The other way of looking at karma is, oh, because of karma, because of cause and condition, because if I push this, it falls down onto the floor. That's why I can do something about it. I can choose to put this in right here. So now, even if my hand knocks, it doesn't go off the table. That's the true power of karma, no? So you need to learn to utilize that, not to utilize it here, but utilize it here. Even though there is some sense here, but this has nothing to do with the change moving forward. You are focusing on the change, not on the past. If you focus on the past, then there's no change. Like I said, right? What you ate yesterday, you cannot vomit out, or you cannot do anything about it. What you ate yesterday, eaten, gone, maybe already come out, I don't know. But that is done, finished. The goal and the aspect of changing in regards to putting down is, you know, if I think, oh, he gave me all of this baggage to carry, now I don't have a choice, I need to carry it, then you will need to carry it. It's the moment when you say, yeah, he gave it to me, but I don't need to carry it, do I? Just because he expects me to carry it, does that mean I have to carry it? Now here you start to see true freedom. I don't know if that makes sense, yeah?
Yeah, thank you.
Just like about her previous question, because she was asking about shamatha and vipassana, no? But maybe she could thinking about preliminary practice, so give some steps back and try some preliminary practice. Maybe also, I mean, outside of Buddhism, a lot of therapy could be good, but inside of Buddhism,
No, what I'm saying is that utilization of these methods in these methods taught in Buddhism can also help at the beginner stage, and not necessary that you need to do Buddhism. That is also not necessary. Yeah, that one Buddha made it very clear.
but things like the four measurables or lojong, I think things that she could.
Yeah, that are there, definitely there. These practices, many practices there. Even in regards to what we call shakpa. Shakpa is purification. Some work with purification. In regards to purification, then it's all about, you know, some people do 100,000 prostrations, some people do 100,000 mandala offerings. These things are there because also working with our past karmas. Yeah, then lojong is also in regards to what I think last today and yesterday what we've been talking here is basically lojong in some ways. Lojong is mind training. So the aspects, how to apply what, where, but like I said, these are there only if it makes sense to you. If you're more faith-based person, then most likely purification method works more better for you. If you're a more logical person, then what we say, then lojong, mind training, yeah, that works more better for you. So there is difference in what kind of methods you want to apply. But all I'm saying is that yes, this is one part of the practice. Bodhicitta is one part of the practice. Vipassana is one part of the practice. Shamatha is one part of practice. But integration of all of that all at once, that is a little bit hard, because in order to integrate, then our mind level needs to be in at different levels. You know, whether you are ready or not, whether it makes sense or not, these are always changing, right? It's not just that, but I think also there's difference in days. Some days when you feel compassionate, very good to practice compassion. Maybe developing bodhicitta, very good. But in other days when you don't feel so compassionate, then don't practice. No, it's that integration, no? Your mind is ready. Some days your mind is not ready. Some days you feel very inspired. When you feel inspired, then do as much as you can. But then some days you're not feeling inspired, and if you push yourself to do too much, then then can get rough. You have had a hard day, you know. A lot of old practitioners, they do this. They take so many commitment after commitment after commitment. Then they have 2-3 hours of commitment, and then this commitment they say they cannot break, right? Then they 1-2 days okay, but then on the third day, let's say they had argument here, big boss, then car crash, then it's a very hard day for them. Then they come back, then they think, oh, now I need to do my commitment. Is there any joy? Do you see any joy there? There was the point there. Where's the practice there? You're just doing it for the sake of doing it, no? There is questionable whether the result will come or not. So I think even in days you can start changing your practice. Like shamatha, concentration, some days you feel very light, you don't feel you don't feel like you have a baggage, then that day you can truly practice on focusing, developing your focus, shamatha. But then someday you feel like, oh, there's so much expectation, there's so much that. And on that day, if you sit down and you try to focus, then your mind is totally going to go on to all of that. So they are, even in days, even in hours, there are different practices that you can apply in different means. Doesn't mean that it has to be, but definitely once you get hold of the practice and once you get the enjoyment out of the practice and once the sense starts to come, yeah, it's like tasting food. Yeah? Before you taste, you look at it, I don't know. But then once you taste and then you get that, then you want more and more and more, right? So this is the joy in practice. Yeah. Once the practice starts to make sense and you get that taste, then the need to apply the practice, that one becomes out of joy. This is what we call joyful effort, Chundu. This is where the Chundu comes into play. Chundu is not from the beginning. Joyful effort, not from the beginning. It's only after you get a taste, then comes the joyful effort. Yeah?
So keep practicing until we find that joy, or allow the natural joy. Like if we're not feeling that joy, or we're not is it better to just stay consistent with the?
So that one depending on people. Okay. I think depending on you, especially depending on you, not on other people, depending on you, depending on ourselves. If continuity is applicable without that applying of the continuity becoming the problem, then definitely you can apply continuity. Generally, this is why wise, you need to be wise when it comes to practice, and this is where the wisdom part is important. And wisdom part people cannot apply for you. You need to apply yourself. Wisdom part, this part, even if a therapist comes, some people, even if therapists, they go to therapy for 2, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, still no change. They feel better while they are there, but the moment they come, then the same problem arises, the same argument arises, same things arises. Then this is, even the consistency is there, there's no application inward, then where are you expecting the change? It's inside that's changing, no? It's not the things that outside giving and all of that is going to change. Well, there are people, because I have done counseling, there are people 4 or 5 years, they say, it makes sense, yes, I need to change this, yes, I need to focus, yes, I need to develop, yes, I need, yeah. But then after that, 2 weeks later, same thing, back to same square one. So this is because inwardly, even though it makes sense, inwardly the application is not there because of that. Then comes the problem. Then, like I said, some overcommitment in regards to doing that. Then sometimes you feel like you have to stick to the commitment. You have to do the commitment. Then there's more pressure. Then if you pressurize yourself to do commitments for the rest of your life, then at some point you'll get fed up of doing that commitment. And then you say, useless. Then you completely push and say useless. Then that's where's the danger, no? Tea time? Okay. Enjoying? Not enjoying? Okay.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.